time now? It's on. Professor Pitts, if I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. 30 minutes before a performance is Professor Cooper time, so please never ever do that again. You all can keep talking. It's going to take me quite some time to set this up right there. Well, you all seem a little more antsy than usual. I know. The thought of the eerie doctrine has all of you in a tizzy, but don't worry. We have an hour and a half to dive on in. It's so quiet in here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of Lawyers Behaving Badly. Any of you who have sensitive ears, I suggest you cover them now. Also, I want to apologize in advance. I haven't had the opportunity to speak with Professor Neff, so I have absolutely no idea who to interrogate today. So, let's begin, shall we? Don't worry, I'm not going to ask for volunteers. I will ignore your hands anyway. Mr. Goodman. Ian Goodman, where are you? Okay, stand up, please. Mr. Goodman, everybody would like to know, have you ever read the book, A Civil Action? You've not? I must say I am rather disappointed, but thank you, Mr. Goodman. Next up on my death list, how about Emily Schrock? Are you in here? Oh, Miss Schrock, hello. Emily, have you ever, help Mr. Goodman out, have you ever seen the movie, A Civil Action?
Is that the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger or something?
Absolutely not. So you haven't seen the movie?
No.
Oh. Boy, I'll tell you, as soon as you put something on the suggested reading list, it's like you're inviting them to an optional OPD event. Oh, man. Jeffrey Gates. Jeffrey Gates, are you out there?
Right here, sir.
Okay, Jeffrey, for the sake of my sanity, tell me you have at least dabbled in the Civil Action online interactive game. Look, no. I don't even care if you haven't. Just say yes. I need this.
I'm so sorry, sir. I haven't.
Okay, that's it. I can't take this anymore. There's something I need to get off my chest. I'm sure that many of you as law students get sick and tired of briefing case after case, day in and day out. I know I've told you many times that as a professor, it's physically impossible for me to make every single second of this stuff absolutely riveting. What you probably don't realize is that some of your professors feel exactly the same way. Just the other day, for example, Professor Klein walked up to me and said, "All right, Jeffrey, let's reconvene. If you'll recall, last time we talked about ways to cope with monotonous casebook material, the elements of a successful classroom joke, and some effective techniques to use when trying to deliver both at the same time. I get the feeling we've both struggled with this a bit as of late, so if you don't mind, I'd like for you to talk to me about some of those techniques." No, don't look down. Look up. Look up. The answer's right there in front of you. I looked up and didn't see anything. I didn't answer his question, and in fact, he's probably still waiting. But it did get me thinking, though. Normally, at the beginning of the school year, I'm well-rested and rejuvenated. And this year I thought was the same, but my goodness, you all are unbelievable. By the end of the first class, it became readily apparent that I was only holding the attention of the 8 of you who participate regularly. The other 92 are either on Facebook or Skyping with a significant other or doing God knows what just to avoid paying attention to my lecture on attorney's fees. Hello? We're talking about money here. This is as exciting as civil procedure gets. And apparently it's not just my teaching style either. Just the other day I was walking down the hall and saw Professor Schum walking toward me, and he was shaking his head and staring at the ground, and so Being the good friend that I am, I stopped Professor Schum and asked him why he was so upset. To which I got the response. Actually, I am just bursting with enthusiasm right now. You should see me on a Monday. But in all seriousness, I just came away from class and I was giving my favorite lecture on the beauty of the trial brief when I saw one of my students stick his hand up in the back of the room. So I said, yeah, in the back of the room. Yeah, like, can you speak up? Like, I can barely hear you. Oh, well, that would be because you're sitting right beneath the heater. I mean, I guess it's a trade-off. At least you're staying warm, right? Yeah, like, we gotta talk about that too, because I'm burning up back here. So then he says to me, and I mean, I guess I'm glad they're being vocal, but why do they all get distracted so easily? I knew exactly what he meant. Quickly realized that I was going to have to make the extra effort to keep my class as intriguing as possible. I came up with a plan to both keep class engaging and weed out the slackers at the same time. You see, I don't know if I've ever shared this with any of you, but I happen to have a wealth of personal experiences that just beg to be shared with everyone. So, during that next class, I launched into an hour-long lecture about how my neighbor destroyed my garden gnome and how I had to painstakingly determine the market value of a replacement. Not a single one of you remarked that you can't put a value on love. You all must have thought I was nuts. But don't misunderstand, I didn't do this so that you would pity me. I did this to see if you would pay attention to something that was supposed to connect with you on such a basic human level. But when I got halfway through and I wiped my eyes, after having just bared my soul by revealing this emotionally scarring experience, my sorrow instantly turned to rage. Half of you, not half, 90 of you weren't paying any attention at all. The only 8 that were 8 of my most loyal students, known affectionately amongst themselves as Cooper's Council. The other 90, you see, were engaged in some sort of internet distraction. Mr. Anglin, Jared Anglin, are you back there?
Yeah.
Great. Do you remember in a civil action when... Oh, you have no idea, do you? Okay, thank you. It's all right. We'll keep going.